The law of God states it is a sin to fail to defend one's reason for being, one's dharma. One has to stand up and be counted for one's identity and the gift of identity in God. So nations must stand up and be counted. America must stand up and be counted for her reason for being in God, for her sponsorship under Saint Germain and the Great White Brotherhood. We have a reason to fight on earth because the Bible tells us that these fallen ones cast into earth bodies took their revenge on the seed of the woman, the children of the Divine Mother in the earth. They are persecuted. He comes with great wrath. He comes with persecution, and he has remained in a posture of revenge against the offspring of God, against whom he rebelled in heaven. So the warfare we have inherited on earth is the warfare begun in heaven. And the difference is that on earth we have all of the heavenly hosts and the archangels to assist us. We are not here to fight this battle alone, but we are facing the final Armageddon. It is the last time, and we know it is prophecy that in America today, the battle that must be fought will not be won except through divine intervention. We simply cannot beat so great an evil, so great an unreality, so great a delusion of fallen ones pitted against us without all of the Lord's hosts at our side. This we invoke through the dynamic decree because we understand the science of the spoken word. Our people must learn to pray as God taught them to pray, as God gave it to them through Moses, the name I am that I am. This is the greatest living message we have. This is our revolution. This is our stump message. America needs to heed the command of Krishna, the name of the cosmic Christ. She must realize she will only end war when she understands the mandate of God to defend freedom. Sometimes we find that our people have become super wise. They are wiser than the prophets that have ever lived, wiser than the anointed ones. They actually think that in their conceit they can change the theology of a cosmos, the rules of the game of life, or the situation of light and darkness. Many people, of course, put their head in the sand. They do not want to admit that there could be embodied evil, that some people could be wicked, some people could have a devil heart and yet be walking around in a body like their own. That there are some people who are the spoilers and want to tear down everything that is of the light. The equation then of facing reality in this plane is difficult, particularly for Americans. This is a particular weakness in our psychology. One of the reasons is that we have an adolescent psychology. We want to remain children and have a good time and not be too responsible. But then again, we've been programmed by 50 years of silent and talking pictures that have told us that everything comes out just great and people live happily ever after, and the dreams of life are very limited. And it becomes greatly centered on finding the perfect love, settling down in a cottage with trellises and rose vines crawling up, and raising a family and not having any problems, and everything is very idyllic. So in some cases we live in an Alice in Wonderland or a Mary Poppins state. On December 31st, 1959, America took a plunge into the astral plane, which was rent through rock music, through drugs. And then there came existentialism, extreme pessimism, a reaction against the good life, and I don't think America has felt as good about herself ever since the boys came home and we had the victory of World War II. There has been a gradual decline in our understanding of our self-image and feeling good about ourselves. So while we have a Pollyanna view, we also have a very cynical view. And it is almost a hopelessness, and in some quarters that hopelessness, as we have mentioned, has degenerated to suicide. We are here on earth for this reason in this hour, to see to it that the fallen angels do not utterly destroy the children of God and the holy innocents who have not had the opportunity to become full heirs and joint heirs of the holy Christ self in their temple. We are concerned because Mother Mary told us at Fatima that souls would be lost, and we know why. We know that the fallen angels go after them to destroy the very fabric of their consciousness and identity until they are hollowed out shells. You've seen hollowed out people on the streets of America. I've seen hollowed out people in Sweden, and they are hollowed out by drugs, by an excessive use of drugs. They are hollowed out by the squandering of the life force in all kinds of perverted practices. They are hollowed out by a false theology, a false teaching that denies their identity in God. On the one hand, there are the fallen ones whose time has come, who are like the ones whited sepulchres full of dead men's bones, full of discarnates. They have lost their souls, they have lost their heart flame, they have denied God where they are for many lifetimes, and they literally are an empty house inhabited by evil spirits. Then you have the hollowed out eyes of one who was once a child of light, who used to sparkle and sing and vibrate with a glow of God, and suddenly you cannot find the person in the body. Did you ever talk to someone and you couldn't find them in their body? This is a terrifying experience to me. You can't make contact with a heart or a soul. It's almost like talking to a programmed computer. So we see both kinds, children of light whose souls have been lost, fallen Atlanteans who have reincarnated in this century, who have nothing in them because they forsook God long ago. They are the ones who influence the children of light and lead them astray. They are very glamorous to the children of light. So our responsibility is to see to it that this is stopped, that the encroachment upon God's children ceases in every area. Just look around you and take up the cause of your choice and join wonderful people from any church, religion, or none in organizations that are trying to restore a flame in society, and you be that keeper of the flame. You make the call. You dedicate yourself to that mission. Even though everyone wants peace, we find that most wars are fought by fallen angels who are rivals. And they're rivaling one another for territory, and they line up mankind and the children of light to fight their battles for them. Not all wars have been wars where you can clearly see a side of the light bearers and the side of the dark ones. And so you find that wars are fought by capitalists because they want to preserve a territory for their capitalism. They're fought by communists who want to preserve and gain a nation or a territory and its wealth to assimilate into its empire. But on either side, they do not have the interests of the people at heart. So we have what Saint Germain has taught me, an international capitalist communist conspiracy. So we have wars of power politics for territorial gain, the manipulation of commodities, the amassing of wealth for population control. That's what the fallen angels have been doing in embodiment. That's what Genghis Khan did, Hitler did, Stalin did, and so on and so forth. And they have used us as fodder on the battlefield. The children of light have to be taught this. They have to see it. But this has nothing to do with the issue of defending freedom, principles, and the territory of God and God's people. But we have come to misunderstand that all wars are the same, that there's no just war. There's no war to set the world free for democracy, as was the battle cry in the past. But the fine line of division has to be understood by the whole cosmology of the universe and the understanding that, yes, we have inherited Armageddon, and Armageddon is different than the territorial wars of the rivals. Most of you know that Abraham reincarnated as Arthur, king of the Britons, who before he could become king had to defeat 12 Nephilim gods, 12 kings, them and their hosts. When they were defeated by Arthur and his knights, he was able to sit upon the throne and be acknowledged as the one who held the supreme power He was a devotee of Christ. He brought back to Camelot teachings of the mystery school. All was based upon the Holy Grail and its quest, understanding the Grail as the chalice of oneself to be the bearer of the blood of Christ. This is why we call ourselves Camelot, because El Morya is the founder of this organization. El Morya was Abraham as well as Arthur. So we see ourselves as bringing together again the teachings and the mysteries of the quest of the Grail and the knights who lived in those ages of darkness. We find that in the war of Armageddon, the Lord himself is fighting on behalf of the seed of light. It is the I Am Presence fighting on behalf of the Christed ones. It is the Ancient of Days, the great Guru Sanat Kumara, summoning his legions in the defense of his chelas in embodiment. For instance, at the time of Deborah, Israel was under the yoke of Jabin, the king of Canaan. Now God gave ample prophecy in the Old Testament that the Canaanites were to be wiped out. They were not wiped out, and the seed has remained. The Canaanites were a race of these fallen ones and laggards. Enter the seed of Christ. Deborah, who has been called the Israelite Joan of Arc, directed a successful military campaign against the armies of the Canaanite general Sisera. Deborah summoned Barak, her leader in battle, and told him, "This is the order of the mighty I Am Presence, Yahweh, the God of Israel. March to Mount Tabor, and I will entice Sisera to encounter you at the Wadi Kishon with his chariots and troops, and I will put him into your power." At Barak's advance, Yahweh struck terror into Sisera. All his chariots and all his troops, Sisera's whole army fell by the edge of the sword. Not one man escaped. Deborah and Barak offered a song of thanksgiving for the victory. It says in part, "From high in heaven fought the stars, fought from their orbits against Sisera." The stars, and the use of the term stars is a reference to the archangels, to the hosts of heaven and hosts of light who interceded. When the mighty I Am Presence fights the battles for us, the mighty I Am Presence does so in the person of the Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael and all the 7 archangels are called archangels of the Lord because they fully embody the I Am Presence. When you are speaking to Archangel Michael, you are addressing that mighty archangel of the Lord, and in him is fully manifest the I Am Presence. And you see through him and through his person what is the nature of God, the full God consciousness of the first of the 7 rays. So this is how we come to understand the personality of God. It is through the personality of his sons who are one with him. Throughout history, men committed to the vanquishing of evil and evil forces that plague nations and souls have given their lives for principle. But always it is the original war in heaven between the sons of light and the sons of darkness, between Christ and Antichrist, that is being reenacted all over again on earth as it was in heaven. We have to realize that Armageddon has to be fought first where we are inside of ourselves. We have to defeat the force of Antichrist in our own carnal mind, or we will never win for America and the planet. If you can't defeat selfishness or greed or the tyranny of the carnal mind that is being waged over your soul, how can you defeat an army? It is impossible. But when Christ is allowed to enter your temple and defeat the adversary that comes through your karma, comes through your human habits, when truly you cast yourself on the rock of Christ and want to be broken and reformed in him, you emerge in the strength of the Spirit. You emerge one with God, and you can defeat anything. Death and hell has no power over you. So concentrate on this and do it, because if you love life and you love America and you love your children and you love your loved ones and posterity, you have to conquer yourself. And that, unfortunately, is what Americans have decided they don't want to do. They like the good life. Their pastors don't tell them it's necessary. There's no struggle. There's no path. There's no initiation. There's no failure. Just believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and be saved, and your sins will be forgiven. And just be a good Christian. Just be nice to people, espouse good causes, have bake sales, make money for the sick and the hospitals and so forth, but never really confront the issues of life. You know, never really deal with absolute evil and absolute good. So you see, you cannot avoid a confrontation with evil when you enter the absolute purity of your own Christhood in Jesus. It will come. You must be prepared. Don't fall back. Don't faint. Don't be like Arjuna. There are millions of angels and saints and many on earth who are right there with you, one with you, and you have to know that when you seem to be alone confronting a very difficult situation. We all know about Leonidas and the force of 300 Spartans that held the pass at Thermopylae against the great army of Persians in the most heroic resistance in history. It was 480 BC. Where were you? Were you in Greece? Or were you in Persia? The Greeks lost 300 men, the Persians 20,000. Although Leonidas fell in the horrendous battle, he protected the Greek fleet from being outflanked by the Persians, and Greece lived to enter a brief but brilliant golden age. Golden ages come because people are willing to stand for the absolute principles of freedom, peace, truth, and universal enlightenment. 1775, Patrick Henry, unwilling to tolerate the forces of tyranny, declared, "Give me liberty or give me death." That means I will not live under tyranny. I will not succumb and compromise to save my skin. It was on that stand that the American Revolution was fought and won. Washington said, "We have to resolve to conquer or die." It is no different today. If we don't conquer, death will not be a choice. Nathan Hale said, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Well, Nathan, I have news for you. In American's creed, each American affirms his belief that it is my duty to my country to love it, support its Constitution, obey its laws, respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. We are not doing it. We are not doing it enough, and our enemies are inside our borders. We have a spiritual mandate for our individual and collective defense. It was given to us following the flood of Atlantis, and it was given in the light of that past history by God, a covenant with Noah. It's called the third or Noachic. We'll skip that word. It's the covenant of Noah, which established human government and made the protection of human life its highest function. That was the responsibility given to us, the defense of life. But you see, it wasn't in a vacuum. Earth had just been through Star Wars and more. The highest technology ever known, far advanced of what we have today. The misuse of science on Atlantis caused its sinking. By fallen ones, black magicians, and so forth. The same on Lemuria. There were literally wars of the gods in their spacecraft. That is what was going on. So all of this was reduced and removed. Civilization had to start again, and it's taken us 12,000 years, and we haven't even reached the levels of Atlantis. So to Noah and his seed was given the responsibility of the protection of life. And he knew what that meant, the protection of life genetically, the protection of the mind, the protection of the body and the soul and the spirit. And that is why governments are instituted, to protect everything from the human to the divine manifestation of every individual member of society. And America has lost the consciousness of why that protection of life is so key, because it does not understand the aliens in her midst and those fallen ones who have waged a relentless war to destroy the seed of Christ, the man-child, come what may. Stated explicitly in the Declaration of Independence, this expression in Western civilization of a government constituted to protect the inalienable right to life. Beginning with Noah and coming through to that declaration, it is based on the principle that all men are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. We cannot be alienated from our rights. We cannot be separated from our right to exist and to be as humans and as divine beings. We have human rights, we have divine rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The preamble to the Constitution declares that one of the main reasons the people of the United States established the Constitution was to provide for what? The common defense right. And we don't have a common defense. We don't have a common civil defense. We don't have a common ABM system. We don't have a common defense of our military bases here or abroad, our embassies, and so on. Then to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We cannot enjoy liberty and its blessings without establishing defense. Article 4 of the Constitution guarantees that every state shall be protected by the federal government against invasion. Is the federal government protecting Texas from invasion? I will say not. It is not protecting you at all. Your borders are not secure. America's borders are not secure. I love the people of Mexico. They're some of the best keepers of the flame, and I believe they have a right to immigrate to the United States. But I also see that the plot in not protecting our borders is to move into this country those who are trained guerrillas, trained terrorists in camps in Mexico on the other side of the border, those who are plants in this country to be ready for a communist takeover and communist revolution. And therefore there needs to be a screening like there is in every other border of those coming into this country as to what is their purpose and mission. So we are not protecting our borders, and it was one of the reasons for the fall of the Roman civilization. Article 2 of the Bill of Rights simply says that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, there's a lot of talk about infringement on the right to bear arms today. And every once in a while when it comes up, we have to go through the same old argument again. There are those who feel if there were no guns around, there would be no murders. It's just like saying, let's dismantle our whole arsenal of nuclear weapons because then we won't have war. It's the most simplistic logic that we've ever heard. And it does not deal with the aggressor, the fallen angels, whether in the Soviet Union or whether in the criminal element, who will have the guns, who will have the weapons when the free and law-abiding citizens turn them all in. So it is ludicrous to think that guns or nuclear weapons kill people. It's people who kill people. And they will find ways to do so, and the innocents will always be the victims if you limit their right to defend themselves. There is a spiritual defense, and it works. It takes nerve, and it takes spiritual fortitude to seek spiritual defense as the only defense. Our posture with Saint Germain is that America needs both. It needs a strong military defense. It needs a very strong spiritual defense, or the military will not be effective.